5 narrow waterways control the world's economy, and every one of them is one crisis away from chaos. If one ship gets stuck, your grocery bill goes up. Energy, food, electronics, medicine. Modern life depends on a few miles of water. Shipping isn't just transport. It's the world's nervous system. And these are its pressure points. Roughly 80% of global trade moves by sea. Almost everything you own spent time on a ship. Phones, fuel, grain, cars, clothing. The global economy was built around one principle: efficiency. Move things as fast as possible, from wherever they're cheapest to make, to wherever someone will buy them. But efficiency has a shadow. Efficiency creates dependence. The global economy has a circulatory system, arteries that move everything that matters. And some of those arteries are very, very narrow. So where are they? And what happens when they fail? The Strait of Malacca, a narrow corridor between Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. At its narrowest point, it shrinks to just 2.7 kilometers wide. Yet nearly a third of global trade passes through it. More ships use this waterway every year than the Suez and Panama Canals combined. China depends on it for the raw materials that power its factories. Around 80% of China's oil imports travel this route. If Malacca closes, China's industrial machine begins slowing within weeks. This is a choke point. When too much dependence flows through too little space. Piracy remains a threat. Congestion is constant. One collision, one grounding, one vessel fire, and the queue builds instantly. Malacca is about geography. The next choke point shows what happens when geography meets human error. March 2021. A single ship ran aground in the Suez Canal, and for 6 days, the world watched global trade stop. One ship, 400 meters long, stuck sideways, blocking an estimated $9 billion of trade every single day. The Suez Canal handles around 12% of global maritime trade. It is the shortcut connecting Europe and Asia. Without it, ships must sail around the southern tip of Africa. Thousands of extra kilometers, weeks of extra travel. But every shortcut creates a bottleneck, and bottlenecks fail. The Suez Canal isn't the only vulnerability. To reach it from the south, every ship must first pass through the Bab el-Mandeb, a strait just 30 kilometers wide, between Yemen and Djibouti. In late 2023, it became a war zone. Commercial ships were attacked. Shipping companies responded the only rational way possible. They avoided the region entirely. The detour around Africa added up to 17 extra days. Fuel costs increased, insurance costs increased, port costs increased, and eventually, those costs arrived on a price tag somewhere. This is the hidden cost of instability. The world doesn't need total collapse. It doesn't need a world war. Just enough disruption to make everything more expensive. And that cost arrives as inflation, not headlines. The Strait of Hormuz is different. This choke point is about energy, 33 kilometers wide, and through it flows roughly a quarter of the world's seaborne oil. Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, the UAE. Some of the world's largest oil exporters all depend on this one narrow gap. If Hormuz closes, fuel prices don't rise gradually. The effect is immediate. Markets react long before a ship fails to arrive. Risk alone can move prices. A modern economy runs on energy, and global energy flows through a corridor narrow enough to see across. Energy powers the modern world. But today, the world depends on something else. Something smaller, more powerful, and far more fragile. The Taiwan Strait is not just a shipping lane. It is the front line of the digital economy. Container traffic moves through these waters every day. But that isn't what makes this place critical. Taiwan produces around 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductors. The chips that power artificial intelligence. The chips inside smartphones, cars, medical devices, data centers. There is no real backup. There is no redundancy. If Taiwan's semiconductor industry stops, the global technology industry stops. China has never renounced the use of force to reunify with Taiwan. The United States remains committed to helping defend it. Military activity in and around the strait has intensified. A blockade would not simply disrupt trade. It would disrupt the technologies modern economies depend on. Cars, phones, AI hardware, medical equipment, weapons systems. Within months, shortages would spread across the world. The world's most advanced technology depends on one of its most unstable flashpoints, and that flashpoint is getting hotter. 4 choke points down, each threatened by conflict, by accidents, by geopolitical rivalry. The last one is different. The last one is threatened by weather. The Panama Canal was built to defeat geography, to connect the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. When it opened in 1914, it transformed global trade. Today, around 5% of global container trade passes through it. But here's what most people don't know. The Panama Canal doesn't run on electricity. It doesn't run on oil. It runs on rain. Every ship that crosses the canal consumes enormous quantities of fresh water. Water drawn from a single reservoir. A reservoir that depends on rainfall. In 2023, it stopped raining enough. Water levels dropped to historic lows. Transit limits were reduced. Restrictions were imposed. The queue stretched for weeks. Shipping companies faced a choice: pay more, wait longer, or sail around South America. Many chose the longer route. Some rerouted toward the Suez Canal, only to encounter another crisis. One climate event amplified a geopolitical one. 2 choke points stressed simultaneously. The same ships caught in both. No missiles, no blockade, no military standoff. Just not enough water. And that may be the most important lesson of all. Disruption doesn't need to stop the system. It only needs to slow it. When ships reroute, fuel costs rise. Insurance costs rise. Schedules collapse. Factories struggle to plan. Inventory increases. Prices increase. The effects spread outward through the entire economy. The shipping system was never designed for resilience. It was designed for speed, for efficiency, for the lowest possible cost. And in becoming extraordinarily efficient, it became extraordinarily fragile. The modern world feels permanent. The lights are always on, the shelves are always full, the fuel is always there. But beneath it all, everything depends on movement. Constant movement, uninterrupted movement, through 5 narrow gaps in the ocean. The most powerful places in the global economy are not always countries. They are not always capitals, not always military bases, not always technology campuses. Sometimes, they are narrow stretches of water, places most people could not find on a map. The Strait of Malacca, the artery of Asian manufacturing, the Suez Canal and Bab el-Mandeb, the shortcut between continents, the Strait of Hormuz, the pressure valve of global energy, the Taiwan Strait, the front line of the digital economy, the Panama Canal, a feat of engineering challenged by drought. Together they share the same formula: narrow geography, heavy traffic, political tension, climate stress. A combination powerful enough to move the world economy. War can disrupt them. Accidents can disrupt them. Politics can disrupt them. And now, rain can disrupt them. When one route fails, the world feels it everywhere. Shipping isn't background infrastructure. It's the global nervous system. And these 5 routes are where it's most fragile.